What's up YouTube, how goes it? In today's video, we're looking at the Microsoft Surface Go 3. Many call it a laptop, some call it a tablet, some call it a hybrid. I guess we'll never truly know. What we do plan to find out, of course, is if whether or not this is the right machine for you. So the configuration I have here today is rocking the highest specs you can get currently. That includes the Intel Core i3 processor, 8GB of RAM, a 128GB SSD or storage if you will. Also we have Intel's UHD 615 graphics, the latest Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 standards, and of course this is a 10.5 inch fully touch captive display. Again, in this video the objective is to find out whether this is the right machine for you, where the Surface Go 3 excels, where it might have dropped the ball, and all things in between. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel. I promise you I might just fall in love with me. Hopefully. Starting off with a quick unboxing, I have to give it to Microsoft. They've really started to nail the art of creating a nice unboxing experience. So the Surface Go 3, as you can see here, comes in this super nice looking box. You have a graphical image of the actual device itself with that Windows 11 wallpaper, hint hint. Of course, on the top you can see again the Surface Go 3 branding, and at the bottom you have the Windows 11 sticker itself. On the back side, not a whole lot to see, just some basic information about the device and the particular configuration which we got it in. You'll also notice the device is wrapped around a ton of plastic wrapping, so there is a pull tab. Once you pull this, the plastic comes off pretty easily, and once you remove that, the box can just slide open, which is quite satisfying, mind you. And here it is in all its glory, but it is wrapped in a ton more plastic. Could cut that, Microsoft, for environment's sake. But anyway, once you remove the pull tab and take the device out of the plastic wrap, here it is in all its glory. It's like this perfect slab of modern technology packed into a small body. More on that in just a second. You also have the instruction manual inside this paper envelope. So once you open it, you'll find the quick start guide, warranty, regulation, and best practices information, you know, all that cool stuff. Beyond that, you have the inclusion of a 24-watt charging adapter, which also comes in a nice paper box, mind you. So you'll notice that the charging adapter actually has the wall outlet piece directly on the adapter itself, so it's a 2-in-1. And on the other side, you have the proprietary, whatever you want to call it, I forgot the exact name, but the proprietary pin Microsoft includes, which is your own solution. It's kind of like mask safe, meaning it's trip friendly or trip safe, if you will, but it's not USB-C, so take your pick. Now, because Microsoft was kind enough not to include the Surface type cover, I had to purchase that separately, which I thought was essential. So this is what it kind of comes in. It has this minimalist packaging to it. You can literally see it's in this transparent plastic box type thing where you can literally see the actual keyboard right beneath it. Once you remove the actual content seal that's holding it together, which takes a quick second, then you can proceed to open the box, which I opened like an absolute animal, mind you. Once I finally got it open, here it is. It looks really nice. It has this nice rubber finish on the front side with a really slim profile, and on the back side you have this really nice to feel soft cloth finish. Moving on to design, the Microsoft Surface Go 3 is a beautiful piece of hardware. Microsoft has definitely used some of the finest materials available in the industry to create this device, and it shows. But what's even more impressive is it only weighs 1.19 pounds, meaning this is definitely designed for all-day carry-around, and portability was definitely a priority with this machine. Aside from that, you'll notice at the front side of the device, it looks like any other tablet does. It's basically all glass, and when the screen is off, it just looks like it's a pure black slab of glass, which again is more or less in line with most modern day tablets. Now on the sides, the first side you're going to notice there's not much to see. It's just the metallic finish in that platinum color, but on the top side is where you're going to find a few things. So firstly, of course, you have the power button and the volume rocker. And you're also going to notice you have this kind of two-tone metallic finish going on here. Now on the other side is where you have your I/O port. This of course includes the USB-C port, the headphone jack, as well as the magnetic charging port that Microsoft has made proprietary, as I mentioned earlier. On the bottom side is where you'll find another magnetic port. This is what you use to connect to the Microsoft Go Surface type keyboard or any other Microsoft Surface compatible accessory. Another thing I really appreciate from a design point of view is this flap mechanism Microsoft has. This allows this to become a table stand or a kickstand essentially. It also allows your device to fly. No, I'm joking about that part. But anyway, it is definitely a good implementation. I genuinely believe in order to truly take advantage of the Surface Go 3, you have to buy the optional type cover that comes not with it, like I mentioned earlier. And it's a very important tool. So let's talk about it. Starting off with the front side, as I mentioned earlier, you have this nice rubber finish. You have a very small or limited amount of palm rest space, but that's totally normal given how small this device is. Now the trackpad on this nimble little piece of equipment is quite impressive. It is technically a plastic surface finish, but it feels like a glass surface finish, and the clicks are nice and tactile. It feels better than a lot of expensive laptops out there. Also, I appreciate the fact that you have a generous amount of surface space, again, given the size. Making our way to the keyboard itself, this is a very compact keyboard for a very small device. With that in mind, there is an ample amount of key travel given how slim this thing is, and it actually feels like a decent typing experience. It's not going to feel as lavish as full-size keyboards that have proper keyboards, like let's say Lenovo's IdeaPad 3 for example, but it doesn't feel cheap or finicky in the slightest. Did I mention this is a fully backlit keyboard, by the way, and the backlighting is quite well done. Unfortunately, of course, there's no 10 key pad given the size, and the keys are very small. If you're used to a larger keyboard, you will make quite a bit of typos, especially in the beginning, because again, the keys are cramped really closely together. Let's talk about the display fitting itself. So the first thing we're going to notice is that you do have relatively thick bezels on the Surface Go 3, and compared to the likes of the iPad Pro or Samsung's Galaxy Tab series, they definitely look and feel a little dated. However, there is one small justification. So on the top side, you have a full 1080p 5 megapixel camera. It honestly beats 99% of the front-facing cameras out there in the industry, both in the tablet world as well as in the laptop world. It seriously looks super clear and crisp, so good job Microsoft. Also, you do have a face reader, so you do have biometric scanning built in, and it's pretty darn effective. On the back side, you have a 8 megapixel 1080p camera that again looks really nice. The low lighting and daylighting is fantastic, although I would say it does fall short of the likes of the iPad Pro, which does have a slightly better camera in my opinion. Let's talk about the display. So the Surface Go 3 may definitely have thick bezels, but that display quality more than makes up for it. So you have a FHD Plus display over here with a resolution of 1920 by 1280. You also have a 4:3 aspect ratio, 60 Hz refresh rate. However, it's worth noting that the actual viewing angles on this device are amazing. You can look at it from any angle like this, like that, like that, like that, and there's very little glare. Also, where this laptop really shines, however, is its 100% sRGB color rating or 78% Adobe RGB. While I wouldn't exactly call this a creative user's device because of its rather underperforming specifications, it definitely makes your screen look vivid and gorgeous. Also, it has a peak brightness of 430 nits. That kicks butt of most laptops out there in this price range and even higher for that matter. I have to give it, this is definitely a great machine if you're planning to use it outdoors or even if you're using it in a very well lit indoor setting. So good job. In terms of overall performance, the Surface Go 3 in my honest opinion feels underwhelming. I just feel Microsoft kind of cheaped out on the specifications given the price point they're charging. So day-to-day tasks, of course, like web browsing, watching a full HD video for example, or typing up a Word document feel nice and breezy and smooth as you'd expect them to. But start doing anything even remotely resource intensive like photo editing or even the occasional or light video editing, and this thing starts heating up and dropping in performance like crazy. You definitely cannot use this device for a lot of heavy duty stuff, so much so that Microsoft themselves keeps this in their Windows S mode, which honestly is their way of saying, hey, just use our app store because you can't install any x86 or x64 applications. Of course, there is a way around that and you can remove Windows S mode. I'll make a video on that later on, but I'm just going to be honest with you guys, if you're buying this for general day-to-day activities, it's a great machine, but anything beyond that, it's just underwhelming in that regards. Perhaps the most disappointing element of the Surface Go 3 is its rather lackluster battery life. So given the fact that this is a high efficiency device, we found at 50% brightness in real world tests doing web browsing, watching some full HD video, using the speakers at low volumes level, we got just shy of 12 hours of battery life. And I'll be honest, there are laptops out there with considerably more powerful processors that actually dish out more battery life with the same given circumstances. This is frankly disappointing given that this is again supposed to be high efficiency and portable device. Now it's not terrible, this is definitely all day battery life, but it could be a whole lot better. It's also worth noting you do have 2-watt stereo speaker setup on this device, and the speakers actually sound pretty decent. They're not super loud, but they are pretty clear and crisp. Have a quick listen for yourself.
So enigmatic and charismatic, gotta live static, gotta get at it, never pragmatic, cause we live tragic. I can't live average, to be alive's magic. Turn it up in the back cause I'm grabbing everything I want, get in my way and I'm stabbing. I'll be moving crowd.
Well, here's the verdict, guys. Starting at $400 USD and going all the way up to $630 USD for the top configuration we have here, the Surface Go 3 isn't exactly what I'd call a budget proposition. It is essentially a two-in-one device that is targeted towards people who like doing day-to-day activities in a portable and relatively comfortable experience. Of course, with that said, it is a mixed bag of things. So on one side, you have one of the most amazing build qualities I've seen on portable devices. Everything is either made of glass or metal on this device. It feels nice and premium. Also, you have one of the most amazing displays I've seen both from a tablet perspective and also from a laptop perspective. It's crisp, it's high def, the color accuracy is off the charts, and overall this is just a very bright and very nice looking display. Now on the other side, the performance over here with that dual-core i3 processor in the top configuration is just barely good enough to do mid to high-end resource-intensive activities. But if you plan to do heavy activities on a regular basis, this is not the right machine for you even at the top configuration. Furthermore, it's worth noting with only a top spec option of 128 GB, I just think that's a lackluster amount of storage. And the most disappointing element, like I mentioned earlier, is the lackluster battery life on this device. Overall, the Surface Go 3 is a good device for people who again are looking for a high-end day-to-day experience. Also, the fact that you have to chime in an extra $100 to get the Surface Type cover is a little bit unfair in my opinion. Microsoft should make a better bundle or at least make it more cheaper and accessible, because honestly, Surface Go 3 is only half as good without Microsoft's Surface Type cover, which mind you, as a sole product, is an absolutely amazing piece of nimble hardware. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.